The Welcome to the Show podcast is independently produced by me, CT, and Manny Gomez. Help people find our show by taking 2 minutes to leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen. Thank you. Hello, everyone. This is the Welcome to the Show podcast. I'm CT, and my co-host, Manny. How's it going?
What's up?
What's good, man?
I don't know what that was, man.
Hey, sometimes you got to start it off like that.
Word. CT. We got some news, CT. For those of you who haven't noticed, if you follow us on our social media profiles, our logo has changed and we have a bit of a different description. So we're evolving from just a podcast. Now this is officially the flagship podcast of the Welcome to the Show sports and pop culture blog and podcast network. So you'll get the general sports news from us. We have an announcement about a new podcast that's going to be joining us, but we don't want to make that official quite yet. But in the near future, you have the replay pod, and we have some more stuff coming down the line in the future. The website is undergoing a bit of a change. So we're, like you said in the last podcast, the intro to the Monday episode where we re-released an episode of the replay. And you trolled me a little bit. We do big things, man. These are facts.
We do.
These are facts.
We're making big moves, man. 2020.
Big boy moves, little boy dollars.
It's gonna be. Ooh. Way to bring everybody up to speed there, Manny. Let's just get the NBA out of the way, man. There's really nothing new about the NBA. I think the latest headline I read is that Steph Curry is interested in playing in the Olympics in 2020. Big whoop.
Yeah, stupid.
So we were talking about something right before we started recording. Sure. RJ Barrett made a headline recently saying that he wants to dunk on Kristaps Porzingis. Mm-hmm. Now you're a Knicks fan. Yeah. Is that right, Manny? You're a Knicks fan.
Yes, I am. That's correct.
You liked that they drafted RJ Barrett. I mean, they really didn't have a choice. It was kind of landed on them, right?
I'm of course I would have liked Zion, but I'm seeing that Zion is a little fragile. He's getting injured a lot, I'm noticing. So I'm comfortable with the RJ Barrett. I think before Zion blew up in Duke this past season, RJ Barrett was supposed to be the number one pick. So I'm happy with it.
Okay. Now, you said before we started recording as well that Kristaps Porzingis was recently the face of the Knicks. He was their first round draft pick a couple years back. He wasn't. To me, he was pretty solid. He's pretty good when on the court, but injuries derailed him. I don't know what happened with him on that boat with the girl with the big titties. I don't know if you remember. What? Was I not allowed to say that?
That's all right. It's okay.
This is a free country.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh.
Hashtag me too.
I can't stop laughing, man. Damn. All right. So, what do you think about RJ Barrett's comments?
I just think that you have to play. Like, it's too soon. Play a full season. Prove that you can, that you can evolve as a player. I think the biggest knock on RJ Barrett is that he can't land, jump shots. He's not a good jump shot shooter. He's not a good 3-point shooter. So let's work on your game. Let's get better. Let's get that one season under your belt. Establish yourself as the best player on the Knicks. And then you can start talking shit about Kristaps Porzingis. I like it because Kristaps is a little, he's a little bitch. Let's just put that out there.
Yeah, he left the Knicks with a sour taste.
Sure did. So I would love nothing more than for somebody to do that on the Knicks to Kristaps Porzingis. But for RJ Barrett's sake, don't start off on this foot in the league with making stories with stupid little, comments like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like do the normal thing. Say that LeBron was your idol growing up and that you're excited to play for the Knicks and your dad was a Knicks fan or something. Don't say that you want to dunk on Kristaps Porzingis. First of all, you guys might never even play together. He might be injured. You might just not get a chance to do that. So I understand if you're playing against, like, who do the Knicks usually play against? What, like the Cavs or the Nets?
Teams in
but
the
the
East.
Mavs, yeah, like come on. I didn't see the point, but whatever, man. I guess the NBA has to make a splash somehow with all the stuff that's going on in the NFL.
Right. There's nothing going on in the NBA. The NBA is dead right now. You know, I keep seeing stories about Kobe versus LeBron, like this was 10 years ago. Like, all right, move on already. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's funny because I do feel like the NBA had a crazy offseason once the finals ended with Kawhi and everything. Mm-hmm, but once that ended, it's like we default to like LeBron and Jordan and Kobe. And remember this one time that Zion dunked in high school. You remember that? Like, all right, we get it. Right. Move on. All right. We're going to talk some MLB. Then we're going to talk some NFL. Today I want to do things a little bit different. We're just going to go through a couple of headlines that took place since the last time we recorded. And I feel like it's been a pretty interesting time in baseball, mostly because there's a legit home run race going on right now, which we're going to get into. But let's see what's happened in the MLB since last Tuesday or Monday, whenever we record. I don't even know. What day is it today? Thursday, I guess. Here we go. So, Houston Astros, first team to 100 wins this season. I believe they were the first team to 100 wins when they actually went to the World Series. I could be wrong. But I know they ended up with the most wins. But I could be wrong about them being the first to 100 wins. They won 102 that year. Garrett Cole, speaking of Houston, Garrett Cole with 300 strikeouts, first Astros pitcher since Mike Scott. I don't even know who that is, 1986. First right-handed pitcher since Pedro Martinez in 1999. And Justin Verlander currently has 283 strikeouts. So if he gets 300, they'll be the first duo to do that since the 2001 Diamondbacks with Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling.
Crazy.
Bruce Bochy gets his 2,000th win as a manager. He's the 11th manager to get 2,000 wins. And he's 1 out of 10 managers with 3 World Series champions. So that's pretty interesting. I mean, these are things we might never see again, the way that they swap out managers these days, right? I mean,
truth.
So, but staying on the Giants, Barry Zito made a headline. I found this pretty funny. And we could talk about this for a little bit. But, after we're done with the headlines, Barry Zito admits to rooting against the Giants in the 2010 World Series. He pitched for the Giants that season. And he admits to rooting against them in the 2010 World Series. We're going to get into that.
Wow.
Ronald Acuna, youngest player ever to join the 40-30 club, and he needs 3 more stolen bases for 40-40. So that guy is clearly on some shit. I don't know what it is, but can you share it with the Red Sox? I don't know. And a little darker news here. The DEA is investigating where Tyler Skaggs obtained his lethal drugs from. Felipe Vasquez. We never figured out what Felipe's last name was, right?
No.
Originally? He changed it to Vasquez. Search. Yeah, go ahead. Felipe Vasquez arrested for, quote, sex, but not really, with a minor of 13 years old. She's now 15. He actually admitted to this.
Felipe Rivero.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Can't believe I forgot that. Let's see. On some lighter news. Actually, wait, let me get through one more dark news, which we'll talk about as well. Domingo German put on leave under the domestic violence policy. I think more updates have come out since we first heard, but I still don't know too much about it. And Giancarlo Stanton returns to the lineup. CC Sabathia gets a standing ovation in his final regular season home start. Those are headlines of the week. What should we talk about first? Let's talk about Barry Zito admitting. First of all, why would you ever admit this?
Right?
Why would you ever put yourself out there like, yeah, I rooted against my team because I was left off the playoff roster since I couldn't live up to my contract.
Because you sucked.
Yeah, like what did you expect? And I can't think of a time, and who knows? When you're a kid, your mind wanders or whatever. But I can't think of a time as an adult that I ever wished something bad would happen, let alone to like the team I play for, the team that pays me. So here we go. Zito had struggled down the stretch that year. The southpaw, who was in the fourth season of a 7-year, $126 million deal. At the time, it made him the highest paid pitcher in Major League history. That was just at the time. I think, obviously since then that's been shattered. He was left off the Giants playoff roster. And he says, I ended up rooting against the team as they were trying to win the World Series, hoping they would lose a World Series so I could validate my ego once again. He confessed. I don't know what to make of this, man. I think of the time when Barry Zito was on the Oakland and how dominating he was with that curveball, or how big a deal they were making out of. Maybe I was just a kid. Maybe I was just kind of taking it for what it was, and I was just letting, ESPN anchors telling me how good he was. Maybe he never deserved the money, but Jesus, man, like, to root against your team in the World Series, like,
he was a beast with Oakland. I remember him winning a Cy Young. I remember him facing the Yankees in the ALES, I think it was the series where the Yankees came back from a 2-0 deficit. And I remember him taking that contract with San Francisco. And at the time, I thought it was crazy that he was the highest paid pitcher, but I thought he deserved a big contract because he was a good pitcher. He was a durable. He was going to give you 30, 33 starts a season. You knew what you were going to get from him. He was going to the National League. He was just going to jump, from Oakland to San Francisco, which is, across the bay from each other. And I thought that comment was crazy too. Although after that season, the 2011 season, which, by the way, he deserved to get left off of that roster. He had a 5.87 ERA. He probably had his best season, arguably, in San Francisco the year after. But then he returned back to Barry Zito and ended his career in shame.
Damn. Here we go. He goes on to say, I was disgusted, hated myself. The ballpark was the last place I wanted to be. I remember driving around San Francisco those days. Blah, 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 blah. Most of the time, just crying in my Range Rover. Oh. Oh man! Oh, my Range Rover!
Crying in my Range Rover. Wow! What a
crying
douche.
in my Range Rover with the tinted. Maybe we're bashing a guy that was like mentally depressed. I'm sorry, but
maybe
we need to call it what it is, man. Like, come on. Most of the time, just crying in my Range Rover with the tinted windows, so nobody could see me. But so in the darkest place, the ordeal forced Zito to discover the root problem. He traced it back to his upbringing. That was the easiest. That was easy. Oh, I guess he's saying that when he was successful, it was easy to kind of deal with like his upbringing, I guess. He said he compensated by dating celebrities. I don't remember what celebrity he dated, but I know Matt Harvey went out with. I know Matt Harvey dated. God, what is her name, man? The hottest Victoria's Secret model ever, Adriana Lima.
I don't know where you're
Matt
talking
Harvey.
about.
You don't remember that?
I do, but my wife might be listening.
Well, I don't have a wife, so here I go. Matt Harvey, Mr. Dark Knight, wannabe, dated Adriana Lima towards like the tail end of his decline, kind of like when he started to decline is when I remember he started dating Adriana Lima. So I could just imagine what Barry Zito at the height of his career probably dated, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. I guess he really was in a dark place, and we don't know what it's like to be a pitcher in the major leagues and a millionaire and stuff, but
I could see the being a competitive person. You want to be on the playoff roster. Excuse me. When they're in the postseason, especially when they're going on a World Series run. I think they lost that year because weren't they the even number years?
They won in 2010, I believe.
Oh, this was 2010 that he had this. Yeah. Oh, I thought it was 2011. So my information from before is incorrect. The year after that, he had a horrible season.
Yeah.
Okay, but I feel like this is kind of one of those things that you put in a book to sell books. Like, this is going to be like what we're doing right now, what people are going to talk about. You rooted against your team, you know what I mean? Like, this is what Barry Zito did. I can't believe Barry Zito did this. But his book sales are going to go up because of it, because more people are talking about it. I think I saw that he was on the Michael Kay show. I was away this past week. Wasn't he on the Michael Kay show? What the fuck is Barry Zito from the Oakland A's and San Francisco Giants, selling books on a New York City-based radio show?
I mean, I might have missed it, but I started thinking to myself, like, he put this in a book to sell, right?
Mm-hmm.
A couple months ago, what's his name put it in a book about my God, why am I forgetting all these names? He's the anchor in the Mets games. He put it in the book about a guy yelling like some racial slur in the World Series.
Ron Darling.
Yeah, Ron Darling said that about
God damn it. The crazy
I know,
guy.
right? It's at the
Jesus.
Yeah. It's at the tip of my tongue
Me too,
but anyways,
you guys know who we're talking about.
Here's the thing. I don't even know if I'd buy an Alex Rodriguez book. So I started to question myself as a baseball fan, and I started watching baseball games, and I see these people that bring out the signs like Garrett Cole, 300 strikeouts. Like they got the sign and everything. And I'm like, I would never bring a sign to a baseball game. Am I really a baseball fan? Like, do I really support this organization?
No, I don't think I would either. I think that's a little overboard for me.
Yeah. But anyways. So CC Sabathia, standing ovation, final regular season home start. Before I ask you the obvious question, do we think we're CC in the playoffs?
I think they're going to put him on the roster. I think it reminds me of, I think I had said this on a previous episode, it reminds me of David Cone in the Mets series, the 2000 World Series, where he was horrible that year. And they put him on the roster anyway. I don't think he started any games in the postseason, but he came in relief a few times and was pretty good. I think he'll be on the roster. I think he deserves a spot on the roster. I think that they're going to get creative with him. I think it'll be either they use him in an opener game or something, or they're going to do what they did with him in the previous start where they let him start the game for two times around the lineup, and then they went to Domingo German and let him finish the game. Because I don't think that German is going to get a start in the postseason. Not because of the recent incident, but because of innings limits, lack of experience. Now they have Severino back, who looked pretty good. And you have your Paxton, Tanaka, Severino, and then if you need a fourth starter, you could do a combination of CC and Domingo German. And that seemed to work pretty well. It only happened once, so you don't have enough of a sample size. But, why not? Why not give it a shot?
Yeah, now speaking of Domingo German, like I haven't really heard much except that he smacked his wife in a public place.
In public, yeah. That's what I read too.
That's pretty crazy. So he might get suspended throughout and even miss time next season if you think about it.
I'm thinking about Osuna, and I'm thinking about Julio Urias of the Dodgers. And I know that I had him on my team in fantasy, and he was accused, and he was on administrative leave for a few games. Then he came back, and then they issued the suspension later on in the season. And I'm also thinking about Alex Rodriguez. When he got suspended for the whole year, he was suspended, and he didn't serve his suspension until the following year. I think because he was appealing and going through lawsuits and all that stuff. I'm sure that, I'm hopeful, although this is horrible because he deserves, the worst punishment. I'm hopeful that we can have him for the postseason roster and he can just serve his suspension next year. But, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And
because they have to investigate it. You know what I mean? Like
baseball players are so hard to read, right? Because I look at the German and I'm like, wow, look at this guy. He's quiet. He's humble. He's basically out pitching what he's supposed to be doing right now. Like this guy's cool, man. Yeah, it's crazy. And out of nowhere, he gets hit with this. And from what I'm reading now, it sounds like it's serious. Like they're probably going to suspend him. He's not going to be on the playoff roster. So it's just crazy. And I feel like with baseball players, it's always hard to read. Like it always catches you off guard. As crazy as not that I wasn't surprised with Antonio Brown, but the guy's kind of full of himself in a way. So it's like you almost kind of like not happy that it happened, but you're like, oh, okay, like it's Antonio Brown. Right. But Domingo German, man, like I don't know.
I didn't expect.
I was not expecting it.
When I saw that, I was like, because he looks like he doesn't look like the type of guy, but I guess, what is the type of guy that hits a woman? You know what I mean? So, like I said, as a Yankees fan, as a Yankees fan, the logical side of my brain says I hope he gets to play on the postseason roster, but the logical side, the side that is a father of two daughters, I have a wife, I have two sisters, my mother, I grew up around women. I hope he gets if the allegations turn out to be true. I hope that he gets punished for a long, long time.
Yeah.
That shit is unacceptable. Fuck you if you did that.
Damn.
Bitch.
All right. And I'm sorry to whoever's listening to this, man, but we're about to get into the Felipe Vasquez thing. And
here we go.
I don't know what to make of it because so basically he admits to driving to the girl's house, 13 years old at the time, right? He admits to driving to the girl's house. She gets in the car. He plops her on top, and they start just going at it.
Oh, my God.
So this is, 13 years old for a guy in his, at the time, probably late 20s or whatever he is right now, or mid 20s. Doesn't matter.
28, I think he is now.
Yeah, so what? He was 25 or 26?
It
doesn't matter. The guy, man. It's freaking creepy. Like, so he's quoted saying that they had sex, but not really. I don't know what that means.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I really don't know what that means. I mean, if it's messed up to say, but if you got a 13-year-old girl, even as much as grinding on you, I feel like that guy should be arrested. Like,
I agree, man.
That's just me though. Like, I feel like, and here we go. Pittsburgh Pirates closer. He's currently being held in Allegheny County in PA. He was denied bail on charges of child pornography and solicitation of sex from a 13-year-old girl. And he might get deported for this.
Good.
But, yeah, now I'm reading that it might be kind of tough because he comes from Venezuela and because Venezuela is so crazy right now and corrupted that deporting him might not be possible. Vasquez is a back-to-back All-Star who saved 65 games over the last 2 seasons with a 2.22 ERA and 179 strikeouts in 126 appearances. Last week, he and fellow reliever Kyle Crick were involved in a locker room confrontation that resulted in Crick being injured. I'm pretty sure it was related to this. It had to be. Like, yeah. Chris Archer was saying that it was quoted saying that it hit him pretty hard because he has a 14-year-old daughter. And that's what I'm saying, man. Like, I just feel like there's no excuse for this shit because we're surrounded by children. Like, we know when a child is a child and when an adult is an adult. Like, so I mean, what do you think?
I think he knew exactly what he was getting himself into.
Yeah.
And he's a piece of shit. Fuck him. I hope he gets deported. And if not, then I hope he spends an insane amount of time in jail. He should not be allowed back in baseball. Like, there's no coming back from this. You know what I mean? This is, it's horrible. This is terrible. I don't even know. It doesn't even make sense. This is one of the elite relievers in baseball. He was set to make, let's see, not that money matters in this situation, but he's set to make over $30 million in his contract left. This was somebody who was sought after in the trade market. And fuck him. I mean,
This is crazy, man. And what the hell is it with child pornography, man?
Oh,
like,
my God.
What is it? Like, what's so wrong about regular porn?
Right?
I mean, you can watch regular porn and the girls could say that they're underage, and I guess that can get you off, but that at least they're still adults, like
whatever. Yeah. What's wrong with good old fashioned, just, regular legal women,
regular missionary porn,
right?
What's wrong with that, man? Ain't nothing wrong with porn, but
and it sounds like he sought her. Apparently, he got her number like at a game or something. Like he was in the bullpen. And I think that she was the pursuer in this case. But come on, do your homework. I don't know. I don't even know what to say.
I didn't hear about that she was the pursuer in all this. That's what I mean.
Crazy. Again, don't quote me on that. That's my understanding of what happened here. That doesn't make it any better. I mean, kids at that age aren't using, they're full of hormones. They're not using their I taught middle school students. They're fucking nuts at that age. So you're the adult. You're the responsible one in this case. Like, you know better.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I hope he goes to jail. I'm going to quote the great Michael Rappaport. on this podcast right now. I hope he gets the Wonder Bread bag and olive oil treatment when he goes to jail too. That's all I'm saying.
All right. We're going to move on.
Too much?
No, that's not too much. It's just that I don't know what else can be said about this. And
it's disgusting, man. Like, fuck. Like, people, like, it's like people forget, like, you know, what if this was like, I don't know if he has any sisters or siblings or female cousins or anything. What if this is your sister? What if this was your cousin? What if this was your mother? You know what I mean? Like, shit pisses me off. I don't understand people.
Yeah, man. Honestly, like, it's obviously it doesn't make it. It shouldn't impact it either way. But the fact that this is like a professional baseball player, man, like, this guy probably has like 1,000 or so kids watching and following him, wanting to be him.
Not only that, you're a professional athlete. I'm sure that there were women out there that were willing to, you know, sleep with him if that's what he wanted. You know what I mean?
The real reason why athletes become athletes.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Moving on.
Since the last time we recorded, Manny, the injury bug is in full effect in Major League Baseball. I'm just going to go through a couple big names over here since the last time we spoke with all the injuries. So let's see here. I don't know if you consider Mark Trumbo a big name, but he was a couple years ago. So Mark Trumbo, day-to-day. Cole Hamels, day-to-day. Lorenzo Cain, day-to-day. Yasmani Grandal. Probably a question for tonight. I don't know why I'm going through all these. But anyways, we know Domingo German left. Aaron Judge is out today in the lineup. Gleyber Torres is out of the lineup. Yeah, well, I was going to get to that. Yeah. Betances, I was going to leave Betances kind of towards the end. But yeah, Betances out for the season. That's a heartbreaking blow right there.
Yeah.
Manny Machado, also questionable for today. Vladimir Guerrero, also questionable for today. Ketel Marte, probably out for the season. He was having like an MVP season. Let's see. Nick Ahmed. I don't know why I said it like that. Questionable as well till tomorrow. JD Martinez, another questionable. What is going on? Franmil Reyes. The only reason why I mentioned, well, you know, besides JD Martinez, but Nick Ahmed was having a crazy season. Dylan Betances would have been a big help for the Yankees. Franmil Reyes for the Indians. They could use him right now. Yeah. We obviously know what happened to, I wouldn't call it an injury, but Felipe Vasquez. Chris Paddock out for the season.
Wow.
Did you know about that one?
No. Is that like on purpose because he reached his innings limit, or did he get hurt?
It just says he's been shut down due to an organizational decision. Yeah, so I guess it's not really hurt. Giolito expected to spend the remainder of the season on a 10-day injured list.
This couldn't happen fucking 2 weeks ago. Jesus Christ.
Mookie Betts questionable Friday. Anthony Rizzo probably out for the season.
Whoa. Fact check. It says Anthony Rizzo. I just got a alert right now. He's back for the Cubs, which I'm surprised because I don't know if you saw that injury. He twisted his ankle. That's why I'm like, I'm surprised by that.
That's why I'm like a week and a half left. Like, goodbye, you're out for the season.
Yeah, no, I thought he was done too, but he's back. And they were like suffering some injuries there. They lost who did they lose? They lost Kimbrel.
Javi Baez.
They lost Javi Baez. Yeah, Chris Bryant,
Addison Russell.
Yeah. Brian is back and he's a beast, but he was hurt for a while too. He was dealing with something.
And we already know about Edwin Encarnacion, Gary Sanchez, J.A. Happ is also probable for tomorrow. Just a bunch of names, but we already mentioned Dylan Betances. Before we get into the two biggest names, Dylan Betances, I felt like they got Jordan Montgomery back and they were gonna get Severino back. But it's funny, in my brain, Dylan Betances was the bigger return than Severino, because what's the big deal that Severino's coming back if what's left of the season is basically the playoffs? And he doesn't really pitch well in the playoffs. To me, I don't know. That's just me, man. Don't shoot the messenger.
But we haven't seen Severino pitch in the the way I'm seeing this is that he's in the tail end of spring training right now, and this is the start of the season. So if I'm looking at things glass half full, which I'm not used to doing that because I'm a glass half empty kind of guy. You can ask my therapist. Too much information. This is the first half of the season for Severino now, and maybe he can replicate what he was in the first half of last year. And if that's the case, and it kind of looked like that in his first start, he was a little shaky in that first inning, but then he looked, like a beast the rest of the game. Touched 99 on the gun. Then we're set, man. And I think Sevy was a bigger return for the Yankees than Betances, because our bullpen is pretty decent, more than decent. It's the best bullpen in baseball. Come on, let's just be real here. So what we really needed was another arm on the rotation, a starter, essentially. I don't know why I can't just say that.
I understand that my thing is that Dellin Betances, I think he's highly underrated.
Oh yeah, he's probably been the best reliever in baseball, I think, in the last 5 years.
Yeah, as much as you guys have a solid bullpen, I look at a guy like Zach Britton, right? I don't know the numbers. This is just me going off the top of my head, freestyle, kick it back on the 1-2. Nice. Yo, listen, Zach Britton, that guy is a ground ball inducer. That's all he is. Dellin Betances is a strikeout pitcher. So if you have a situation where a guy's in scoring position, I would assume you're bringing in Dellin Betances instead of Zach Britton. True. And those are the kind of things that I think about when it comes to the postseason. A guy, Zach Britton, facing a team like the Astros, even though the Astros don't strike out a lot, they're more likely probably going to strike out with Dellin Betances than Zach Britton. With Zach Britton, they'll probably put the ball in play, and the rest will be history. So that's why I kind of thought Dellin Betances was a huge blow, and especially since he'll be a free agent next season. He had that issue with the arbitration a couple seasons back, which,
and he looked good. I mean, he only pitched 2/3 of an inning, but he looked good in those 2/3. And it was a freak injury, man. He was celebrating, and it was fucking crazy. And I agree with Britton. He doesn't really. I actually, believe it or not, I like Britton. I don't think he's the Britton that we got to know in Baltimore. But when that sinker is on, I don't even know how anybody could hit that shit. But
no, yeah, it's nasty.
It's a nasty sinker. Ottavino's been decent for us. He hasn't been exactly what I thought he was going to be. He walks a lot of people. He puts a lot of people on base. But again, he has a 1.84 ERA. He manages to get the outs when you need him. So I'm good with that. Canley's stepped up to the plate big time this year. He's been amazing this year. And some of the other arms on the back end of the bullpen have been doing their jobs too. So, I understand what you're saying, especially if you're going to put CC back there, or if Domingo German happens to. I think losing Domingo German is a big blow, because now that Dellin Betances' injury hurts even more, because you could use that arm. But I feel bad for him. I really like Dellin Betances. He's a New York kid. He came up with the Yankees. He's been really good with the Yankees. And it just sucks to see that he worked so hard to get back into, Major League Baseball shape. You face, I don't know how many batters, 2 or 3 batters, and you're out for the year again. That's crazy, man. That sucks.
Yeah. And wasn't he one of the only relief pitchers in history to strike out 100 batters 5 seasons consecutively or something? And I remember he wasn't that good in some of those Girardi years.
Yeah, he has moments where he's really shaky and he puts a lot of runners on and he can't find the strike zone. But then he has moments where he's unhittable. There were moments last season where I don't even know how the fuck people were hitting this guy, because he was filthy. I mean, but yeah, you're right. He has I didn't even know that stat. CT. He has 621 strikeouts in 8 years of play. I mean, there's some starters that don't strike out as many hitters as Betances has.
In those 5 consecutive seasons that I'm talking about, he has a 2.22 ERA, 1.018 WHIP, and a 14.6 strikeout per 9.
Crazy.
That is, this guy, I mean, someone's going to get him for cheap next season. It might be the Yankees, honestly.
I think the Yankees will keep him. They love their relievers. They don't have to, the thing, and I'm starting to understand the whole reliever thing with the Yankees. They're cheaper. The game is moving toward the use of more relievers, so you might as well have a strong bullpen. I hope that they go after Cole too, but I would be shocked if Betances doesn't stay with the Yankees.
Yeah. So we said that we were going to leave the 2 biggest names injuries for last: Christian Yelich and Mike Trout. probably this year's 2 MVP winners if they don't get injured. The reason why I say probably is because as of today, and I'll read you the numbers, Mike Trout, 134 games in the season, American League leading 45 home runs, currently tied with Jorge Soler.
Yep.
And we got 110 walks, also leading the American League. He's leading the American League in on-base percentage, slugging, OPS,
insane,
and OPS plus. And he's also been walked intentionally 14 times, which is also league leading. Christian Yelich, 130 games, not league leading home runs, but he still has 44, which is probably like sixth in the National League at this point, or fourth, fifth, whatever.
He was on his way to 50 for sure.
Yeah, he probably would have gotten it. League leading on base percentage, slugging, OPS 1.1, which is better than Trout, and OPS plus. But Trout actually has a better OPS plus. Now, I don't know about you, but I can see why they don't get the MVP award, even though, I mean, I don't know, man. 134 games. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kind of. That's almost 30 games left.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's like a month worth of baseball.
And with Mike Trout, I can't think of somebody else in the American League that has come anywhere near that. So
yeah.
I wouldn't be mad if Trout got the MVP award. In the National League, however, there's Cody Bellinger, there's Ketel Marte, there's Anthony Rendon, and I think for me, a lot of people think that it's automatically going to be Bellinger. And yeah, he's having a phenomenal season, like by all measures, a phenomenal season. But I'm also thinking about how at the beginning of the year, I'm pretty sure it was more than a month into the season, maybe even 2 months into the season, he was hitting close to 400. And at some points, he was over 400. To the point where people were talking, can he do it? Can he finish the season at 400, be the first player since Ted Williams to do it? His batting average right now is 305. That's a significant drop-off. So
yep.
I would like to, if I had time, to look at the splits and see what his numbers have been like, I would say, from June on. And I wouldn't be surprised if Rendon and Ketel Marte have been better than Cody Bellinger. Right now, my mind tells me give it to Anthony Rendon. But, I guess you have to look at the whole picture. You know what I mean?
I'm going with Rendon.
You're going with Rendon?
Yep.
Marte's been a beast, too.
Yeah, he has. But I don't know. There's something about Rendon, man. You know?
I just like that he's a quiet guy. He just goes about his business. Underrated. Yeah. Nobody talks about him. He's a beast, though.
It's a lot of beasts this year. It's a good race in the National League. You're right, though. With Trout, I can't really think of anyone. I mean, if Yordan Alvarez had been called up with 100 games in the season, probably maybe. Yeah. But that guy's that's another case right there. Speaking of just incredible things, there's a legit home run race going on in the National League. So as of today, this is all of Major League Baseball. When I think of home run race, I don't think of leagues. I just think of the whole Major League Baseball kind of. I don't try to split it between National League and American League. But Pete Alonso currently leads all major leaguers with 49 home runs. I think this is insane because he plays for the Mets, and hitting home runs in Citi Field is not easy.
No.
So, but Suarez from the Reds, he plays for the Reds, right?
Yeah. Where the hell did this come from?
I have no idea, and I'm looking at his numbers right now. I mean,
he was decent last year.
Yeah, 34 home runs.
Yeah.
892 OPS. Like, it's not that crazy, but it was. Here are his home runs by year. 4 home runs in 85 games, which is nothing. Half a season, you only hit 4 home runs. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Then 13, 21, 26, 34, 48. Could be because of the juice baseballs. I don't know. But he's 27, so this could be him. Like, this could be him entering his prime, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
but something tells me he's going to edge out Pete Alonso for the lead by the end of the season.
Maybe. And when I think of Eugenio Suarez, I think about the Reds, how they could be such. If Joey Votto, I don't know if he's unhealthy or if it's age or whatever, that might turn out to be one of the worst contracts in baseball very soon. If he continues down this path. And I love me some Joey Votto. But anyway, the
Let's
Cincinnati Reds, Joey Votto, Suarez, they have some other decent hitters in that lineup. They had Scooter Gennett. Now Scooter Gennett is nowhere. I don't know how the fuck that happened. But anyway, you have Sonny Gray, who's back to Sonny Gray. You have Castillo, who's pitching like a Cy Young candidate.
Yep.
You added Trevor Bauer, who I don't know what the fuck happened when he went to Cincinnati. That team should be in contention, man. I don't like. That's a scary That's a scary team.
You got Amir Garrett keeping people in check, right? Because he's willing to put up the fist.
Exactly. Right.
Whatever. But
let me just go back to Pete Alonso really quick. I was looking at his splits, and I was thinking I was going to see dramatic splits, see way more home runs away than home. He has 24 home runs at home, 25 home runs away. He's played more away games than home games, so
crazy.
They're pretty even. So it's not like he's hitting cheap shots. You know what I mean? He went through a little slump last week, but it looks like he's back. He's been hitting homers again. I think he's going to break Aaron Judge's record, and I think he's going to be the home run champ this year.
So what do you think he finishes at?
I'm going to go there's like 10 games-ish left. I'm going to say 50. He's going to edge out Judge, 53.
Okay. I'm going to go Suarez, 55.
Damn.
You feel me? Anyways, to finish off the list, Bellinger at 45, Soler at 45, Trout at 45, Yelich at 44, and Ronald Acuna at 40. I think there's a couple other players at 42.
Yeah.
But of course, Acuna's the big dog there, so that's why I put his name there. You feel
I think
me?
Glaber has like 39-ish.
I wanted to mention Gleyber Torres, man. That's insane. He's gonna hit 40 home runs this season.
So proud.
When he hits it, we'll talk about it.
So really quick, and this might be a mistake on my end that I'm doing this in real time, but Cody Bellinger was hitting 404 on May 21st. So that's a solid sample size there. From then on, I'm going to do this right now, guys. I could be kicking myself in the mouth. Since then, he's been hitting 260 with a 371 on base, 562 slugging. Not bad, but definitely not the same Cody Bellinger that we saw at the beginning of the year. He has hit 28 home runs in that same time span, though.
Yeah.
So that does tell me that there's been a significant drop-off. Like, those numbers don't make me fear him as much as his overall numbers, if that makes any sense. No. So I go Rendon, too, for the MVP.
Bottom line is that I don't think Cody Bellinger is this year's MVP.
No, me neither. I don't think so either.
Yeah. So we're both in agreement.
Damn, man. I keep clearing my throat. I got the sniffles going on here. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen.
I wonder why. What do you think is the cause of that? You think there's dust in your room? You think it's the weather?
So I was sick while I was away. So we were in Rehoboth Beach for a few days. My oldest daughter, Francesca, was sick when we got there. She got better. Then I got sick. And my youngest daughter got sick with me. She's still kind of battling a little bit. I'm coming out of it. But as soon as I pulled into my town in Pennsylvania, there's so much grass and farms and shit around here. I think the allergies are just nuts. I get the sniffles. Pair that up with the sickness. It's just, this microphone right now is a cesspool of germs and disgustingness.
I kind of wish I lived in an area with a lot more grass and like openness and stuff, I don't know. I'm not really allergic to anything. I think I am allergic to some type of rare fern in like Cleveland or something. I think is what the doctor told me. So I'll stay away from that. But I'm not really allergic to anything. Thank God.
Living in a place like this, we're going way off topic here, but living in a place like this is a blessing and a curse. I grew up in New York City, and then the northern New Jersey area. And I like being able to walk to wherever it is that I want to go to. I I lived in Jersey City for a few years right after I got married, and I think that was like the perfect solution. Like, it was kind of suburbish, but it was also a city. You know what I mean? Like, it was quiet enough where you can sleep at night without hearing crazy ass noises or people being up all hours of the night.
We still have that city vibe.
But you could still walk to the grocery store. You could walk to a restaurant. You could hop on the PATH train and go to New York City. You know what I mean?
See some people playing instruments and stuff.
Exactly. The art scene was good.
Nice.
Anyway, moving on.
I'm gonna reel this back in then.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Manny. We're gonna round off the baseball talk with the playoff picture as we stand today. So we're recording now. By tomorrow, this could be completely different. Right now, and it's just gonna be all at random. There's really no order for this. Tampa Bay Rays currently sitting on the second wild card, run differential 110, 6-4 in their last 10 games. Red hot Oakland A's. They took that first wild card spot, which is crazy, man, because I think the last time we recorded, I don't even know if they were on the wild card yet. They're 8-2 in their last 10, and 153 is their run differential. Cleveland Indians, I don't think they're going to win their division, but they're a half game back from the Rays. Mm-hmm. They're 7-3 in their last 10, so they're hot. 115 run differential. That's the American League. And I think we already know, obviously, the teams that are going to the playoffs. We got the Astros, which were the first to 100 wins. The Yankees ran away with the division. And the Minnesota Twins are 4 games up. So I'm pretty confident the Twins are going to win the division. Yeah. So right now, if it ended today, the Yankees would play the Twins. The Astros would play whoever wins the wild card game. Is how that would go. And any thoughts on that?
So I think it would be a disappointment for the Rays if they didn't make the postseason, especially considering that they got back Glasnow and they got back Blake Snell in the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. So they got their 2 top starters are back, and they've been good all year. And I the Indians just don't. Who do they have? Like, they're they remind me of the Yankees last year. They're like an offensive heavy team with not that many pitching weapons. You know what I mean? Like, who's their starter? Who's their game 1 starter? Clevenger, and then who after that?
Who was this guy? I would say they have this guy's son, Plesac. I guess.
Okay, he's been good. Bieber too. I forgot about
Bieber's
Bieber.
Pretty good. I think the Indians are an okay team, and they have a better run differential than the Rays. I don't know how much that says. I mean, the Rays
look at you.
To I mean, I'm just trying to make the only argument at this point when the Indians are a half a game back from the Rays is the run differential, right? I mean, they're pretty similar home and away. But yeah, you're right.
I'm surprised that they're so close to the Twins in that division. It makes me feel like maybe the Twins aren't as good as we think they were. Like, maybe the second half hasn't been as good as the first half was, because they were a monster team to start the year.
I'm surprised that Tampa Bay has even let it get this close, because for a good chunk of the year they were the number 1 wildcard team.
They were, yeah.
And I know there was a point where they fired off 8 straight wins. There's stuff like that, and for Oakland to come up and just take it is crazy to me. That's the American League. For the National League, I'm just gonna say that I don't think the Mets are gonna make it. They're 3 games back, run differential 37, but they are 7-3 in their last 10. Did we ever get to talk about the whole thing with Noah Syndergaard and Ramos? We did.
I think we did, yeah. I recall. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, we did. And I just have to say that the Mets have been handed an opportunity to run away with it, because the Brewers are just not that good. Let's be honest.
Negative 25 run differential for the Brewers.
The Cubs losing Javi Baez was huge. Losing Anthony Rizzo was huge too, although he's back. I don't know how much like Anthony Rizzo he's going to be. Their bullpen is still in shambles. They don't have Addison Russell. The Mets have been playing. They've been an entertaining team the second half of the year, and I think it would be disappointing if they didn't make the postseason.
Yeah,
I agree. It seems like they have to win out to get there at this point.
They need to start washing teams left and right. Like, they can't afford to lose series at any point now. So Washington, the Nationals are currently sitting on the first wild card, 113 run differential, 5-5 in their last 10. Cubs are tied with the Brewers for the second wild card slot, 115 plus for the Cubs, negative 25 for the Brewers. And we've mentioned before how bad the Cubs have been on the road. So honestly, what this tells me is that the National League is kind of flat in terms of like competition, because if the Cubs are your wild card team, then I don't know, man.
Yeah, and here's the Mets. Here's the Mets schedule the rest of the way. They have the Reds this weekend.
That's not easy.
It's not an easy. You don't sleep on the Reds, but if you're playing for a postseason spot, you have to treat this like this is the wild card game. Every game, the rest of the way is a wild card game. It's a must win. Then you have a 4-game set against the Marlins at home. And then after that, you have the Braves, who at that point would have clinched. They won't have anything to play for. Again, you can't sleep on them because they are the Braves still. But you can realistically see the Mets aren't going to rattle off a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-game win streak. But I would say to feel comfortable, you have to go 8-2 here. You have to go crazy. You have to have a crazy streak right now.
Yeah. And don't expect the Brewers or the Cubs to play well either, because that's what they've been all season as well. It's not like they were dominating the whole season. So it's possible, but I'm not putting money on the Mets, man. That's just me.
Me neither. I'm not going to lie. It would be entertaining. I think it would be very entertaining. I don't root for the Mets. For me, Red Sox, Mets, they're on the same fucking level for me. Can't stand them.
How dare you?
I apologize. I mean, how I feel about them. But I think it would be entertaining. It would be a good story. It would be cool to see another Subway Series 20 years after the first one. Or is it 19 years? 19 years after the first one. But here's the Cubs schedule moving forward. Much harder. They have the Cardinals. They face the Cardinals 7 times in their next of the. So out of the next 10 games, they face the Cards 7 times. So and then it's the Pirates in between. So the Pirates are winnable games for them. They are away games. So you know how that goes for them. But anyway, 7 times. 3 of those times they're gonna face them away. So, and the Cardinals are in playoff contention. They lead in the division. So that's a tough schedule. So again, more opportunity for the Mets. The Cubs have a tougher schedule moving forward. They're facing the Cardinals away 3 times, and out of their next 10 games, 6 of them are away as well. So the Mets have to try to capitalize here. I could see the Cubs realistically splitting this, going 5-5, maybe 6-4. So the Mets are going to have to win 8 or 9 games to try to take it away from them.
Yeah,
we might see one of those 1-game playoffs before the wild card.
Honest, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of hoping we do, because fuck, more baseball.
Word.
I want to mention one last thing before we round off the baseball segment. So,
Tato.
Right now the Yankees today 195 plus run differential. They have scored the most runs in Major League Baseball, but
music to my ears.
Houston run differential 259
because of their pitching, man.
I mean, yeah, that's the point. And the Dodgers 241, but the Dodgers have scored 832 runs. The Yankees have scored 896. So the Yankees have scored almost 60 more runs than the Dodgers have. And the Dodgers have great pitching too, man. I mean,
They do.
Honestly, I don't see who they're going to lose to in the playoffs. But that's the last thing. That's just the last thing I wanted to mention real quick. Are we good to end the baseball segment, Manny?
I just wanted to, since I gave you the Mets schedule and the Cubs schedule, I want to give you the Brewers schedule really quick. I feel like I sound like Chris Russo when I say Brewers.
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 The Brew Crew.
The Brew Crew. They're facing, their schedule's a little bit easier. They got Pittsburgh at home this weekend, 3-game stretch. They have a day off on Monday. Then they go to Cincinnati for 3, and then the Rockies for 3. So they have an easier schedule, but their team is rattled with injuries. So the Brew Crew might end up running away with it, just because of their schedule. But again, Mets need to win at least 8 games in this stretch. Cubs are going to have to step it up away, but I'm anticipating they're going to lose at least 4 of those games. And the Brewers have an easy schedule.
I just got an update. Addison Russell's activated for tonight. So He's actually back, which I don't get it. I could have sworn I got a notification saying that he was out for the season. Or maybe I saw back, that could be it too. Or maybe I just got so many out for the season notifications in the last couple of days that I'm just like, oh, I guess one guy's injured, he's done for the season, since it is technically the end of the season. But all right, here we go with the NFL.
Is that the right?
Okay.
No, that's the wrong. That's
like Monday.
Job.
That's oh yeah, but that's like the final countdown.
Yeah, that's the song that Joe Bluth plays every time.
Yeah, don't talk. Yeah, trust me, I'm like obsessed with that show. But that is an NFL song though. I've heard it. I think that's like Monday night.
Oh.
Oh, that is.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Sorry.
All right.
Sorry. All right,
we're gonna get through some NFL headlines since the last time we recorded. Here we go. Sorry about this, Manny, but Eli Manning has been benched for Daniel Jones after an 0-2 start.
I'm okay with it. We'll talk about it, but I'm okay with it.
We're gonna talk about it. Oh, don't worry, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Sam Darnold diagnosed with mono like a high schooler, and he'll be out till maybe week 5 against the Eagles. Will it be too late for their season by then? Drew Brees out maybe 6 weeks with a thumb injury. My spit is just piling up in my mouth. I can't speak. Ben Roethlisberger out for the rest of the season. Crazy. Antonio Brown dropped from Nike following the rape allegations. And Jalen Ramsey, Pro Bowl cornerback, requests a trade from the Jaguars, but he will play tonight, Thursday night football.
Word.
All right. First of all, I hope Jalen Ramsey goes to the Bills, even though he talked shit a couple season ago or so about our quarterback. But I have a very reliable source that tells me that he's top 3 cornerbacks in the league, so he's worth it, I guess.
Okay. All
right. Eli Manning. Mm-hmm. Now, I have an opinion about this, but since you're the Giant fan, since you probably followed Eli obviously a lot closer than I would have in the last 10, 14 years, however long he's been in the league, what's your opinion on him getting benched after an 0-2 start this season?
I think that the timing is odd because why wait 2 games into the season? What were you trying to see in just 2 games of the season? Had they been 2-0, did that really say anything about the Giants that we didn't already know? That they're not a good team. Mm-hmm. Their defense is atrocious. They finally fixed the O-line, but now their defense is just horrible. I just think that this was 2 games too late. I think that you should have just started the season with Daniel Jones. And if not, if you were going to go with Eli, then you have to give him a few more games, give him 8 games, maybe half the year, maybe 10 games. Let Daniel Jones see how the offenses run, how Eli plays his game, so on and so forth. And then make him more of a mentor, pass the torch down to Daniel Jones. But I think that 2 games in, it just seems odd. Although I'm not so offended by it. I think to get Daniel Jones the reps is a good thing. You have Eli Manning, for me, a Hall of Fame quarterback. I think in the future he has to be a Hall of Famer. As your mentor, you can't go wrong. So I'm not offended by it. I think a lot of people were up in arms with this. I think that as a Giants fan, the impression I'm getting from other Giants fans is that we're okay with this. We're ready to see someone else take the reins at this point. And that's not a slight on Eli. I just think we have someone now who we want to see what they have. We finally have someone behind Eli that could potentially take over for the next 10 to 15 years, hopefully. So let's find out now. And if not, if we're going to have a horrible season again, let's find out if we're going to have to draft another quarterback next year.
Yeah, I get what you mean. They took a chance with Daniel Jones, so it's good in the sense that you're going to find out, like you just said, if you're going to have to draft another quarterback next season or the season after that. Now we're going to know sooner than later, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it's like you said, why wait to 0-2? If you bench them after 0-2, then you should have benched them to start the season, because benching him at 0-2 and bringing in this rookie quarterback, to me, what it says is kind of like we're still trying to win this season with a better quarterback. Mm-hmm. If you're completely washing away this season, then why not just let Daniel Jones sit for another 8 weeks? And like you said, because now he's going to be playing against defenses that are really trying to win, Right. which I'm not saying can happen towards the end of the season, but even your team is really trying to win. Now you're rolling out to try to extend plays. Now you're putting yourself at the risk of injuries and all that kind of stuff. And again, why not just cut Eli at the beginning of the year,
right,
and not have to pay him however, what is it, $20 million that he's owed now?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And you also look at the fact that they're missing offensive weapons. I forget his name, but he was suspended 6 games, I think, for PED use. He was with the Eagles last year. I honestly forgot his name. Golden Tate. I'm not saying Golden Tate is this crazy number 1 receiver, but he was probably your best receiver on the Giants.
Yeah.
And what's up with not running the ball more to Saquon Barkley? You know, like we're talking about, to me, just benching him after 0-2 just kind of says like Eli was the problem. Now we're still trying to win with Daniel Jones when I just think the Giants kind of suck overall. So,
and by the way, really Eli's been playing good this year too. It's not like he hasn't been playing.
Yeah, he didn't look bad. He didn't look bad. You have Saquon Barkley. That's your number 1 thing. Like, run the ball more to him.
I agree.
And let him get his 200 yards if possible. You know? I don't agree with all this benching Eli, and I think it's going to blow up in their face. I honestly can see how Daniel Jones is put in the line of danger and gets injured.
I think so.
Not saying that can happen towards the end of the season, but I can almost bet that he'd be more prepared towards the end of the season than having to throw him in the middle of the beginning of a season. The season is still fresh.
Right.
So you're basically telling him go out there and try to win some games.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah, no, I agree to a point. I think that sitting on the sidelines and seeing what the competition is, getting a feel for the game, the speed of the game would be beneficial for him. But by the same token, I think Eli's playing better this year also because the offensive line is a lot better. And I think because Saquon Barkley is such a threat for the running game, even though they don't go to him as much. But by the way, that guy's a fucking beast, man. If they can keep him healthy and get this team set, he could be the best running back in football. But you know, if the O-line is good and they could protect Daniel Jones and they keep going to Saquon Barkley, but don't abuse him either because we don't want him to get hurt. You know, I think he's okay. He's going to be fine in the pocket. But to your point, and we're getting repetitive at this point, why do it after 2 games? It just doesn't make sense.
Seriously. Do it at the beginning of the season or do it 10 games when the season's done already.
When the season's completely out of hand, people are going to come to Giant Stadium. My bad, Jets fans. I mean, MetLife, whatever the fuck it's called now. And, and you know, and not really show up to play the Giants because they could just walk over them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It just doesn't make any sense. And it almost makes me feel like the coach, Shermer, is that his name? I always get confused.
Pat Shermer, I guess.
Yeah. It almost seemed like when he made those comments about the quarterback switch after the game on Sunday, that he kind of felt like he had to make the switch. He had said something to the effect of like, they asked him like, when do you think we'll see Daniel Jones more? And he kind of like didn't really throw his vote of confidence to Eli Manning, and it became a story. I feel like maybe that kind of made him like rush on the decision even more because it was almost like I have to prove that I'm right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or him saying that might have forced the hand of like the organization to make him bench Eli for Daniel Jones. I don't know, man. At the end of the day, I just don't think it looks good. But so
how about this, real quick, before you jump into a new story? How about this? Roethlisberger's out for the year. You have an Eli Manning who can't be happy that he's on the sidelines now. A trade to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I wouldn't even mind him going to the Jags.
Yeah,
they don't really have a quarterback either.
Right.
Well, so what I was gonna ask was that so.
That was awkward.
Hey, what about you? What do you think? What do you think about him going to the Steelers or the Jags or maybe even the Saints?
That's true, to the Saints, but then he's going to be benched because Drew Brees is going to come back. But that, the Saints, I believe he's from New Orleans.
Yeah, he is.
So that would be cool. Hometown boy returns or whatever, but he's going to be benched again anyways. So it's going to be the same story because Brees over Eli. Let's be real here.
But no, at this point, yeah, actually, all time, I probably. So I was going to ask you what I was going to ask you before we get into the next story was. So Eli is a Hall of Famer in your eyes.
I think so. Two Super Bowl MVPs. He beat the undefeated New England Patriots. Two iconic plays in both of those Super Bowls. The Tyree catch off the helmet and the, God damn it, what the hell was his name on the sidelines? Manningham?
Manningham, yeah.
That was an incredible pass. I think he's a Hall of Famer. I know a lot of people have been talking about his record as a QB, but also think about the last decade since their last Super Bowl. It's been less than a decade. What has Eli had? What weapons has he been working with? I know he's had Odell Beckham Jr. He's played a combined no O-line. He's played a combined and Odell Beckham Jr. with the Giants his last 2 years played a combined 16 games. So he didn't have them all the time. He didn't have another target aside from Odell Beckham Jr. So we have to consider that as well. And I know that he's not the rah-rah guy. He didn't make you feel like Brett Favre was on the field. Like, you didn't get the vote of confidence because of his demeanor and his affect or whatever. But he was a good quarterback. And when it mattered, there was nobody better in clutch situations than Eli Manning, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would also say he's a Hall of Famer. And honestly, the 2 Super Bowls, the only argument I would need, because when you think about how many quarterbacks never won a Super Bowl and the fact that he won 2, and then he won 2 against the Patriots, and in one season where you said they were like the greatest team of all time and all this stuff, I think it's deserving of going to Hall of Fame. And when I was yesterday, they were talking about it a lot on the Michael Kay show, and they made a good point, or Don LaGreca made a good point, since he's like the biggest Giants fan ever, or biggest Eli fan. When in Eli's career, besides maybe Odell Beckham, and his career just started, but when Eli was good, pretty much, there's really nobody else from those teams that are Hall of Fame besides Eli. So I think that also makes a pretty good argument, because if you look at other quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame, like Troy Aikman, they've had teammates that played with them during those seasons that are also Hall of Famers. So agreed. I think it's a good argument. I think Eli's a Hall of Fame worthy. I think he's Hall of Fame worthy. So
yeah, and those Giants teams that won the Super Bowl, they were defined primarily because of their defense. They had a monster defense with Osi Umenyiora and, goddamn it, what's this guy's name? I love this guy so much, but I can't remember his name right now.
Strahan.
Well, they had Michael Strahan in 2007. They had monster defenses. I remember fucking Tom Brady getting annihilated by this defense, and their offensive weapons, aside from Plexico Burress that one Super Bowl season, it wasn't that exciting. You know what I mean? They had the Earth, Wind, and Fire with Ahmad Bradshaw and some of the other running backs that they had in the backfield. But overall, if you look at Eli's career since 2004, he's been there for 15 years. He hasn't had the type of weapons that a lot of these other teams have had, and you could say the same about Tom Brady, to be honest, because he's played with a lot of nobodies as well. But the people that he's surrounded with leave a lot to be desired, in my opinion. Like the two big plays that I'm talking about, the Manningham catch and the David Tyree catch. Who did they turn out to be in football? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But for me, he's a Hall of Famer. I'm also biased, so
I think he's a Hall of Famer too. Yeah. Speaking of a potential Hall of Famer, Antonio Brown, Colin Powell. You remember that from
Lingus rice? Sounds like a Mexican dish.
Conolina rice. Yeah. Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown. A second woman has come out saying that Brown behaved inappropriately toward her while she was painting a mural in his home in 2017. Now, what the report says is that while this lady was painting the mural and she was about halfway done, Antonio Brown just came out butt naked and just started talking to her or something like that. I don't know. Honestly, man, like, I don't know how I feel about this. It's not right, but the guy's in his home, he's a millionaire. He was at the height of his career. I don't know, man. I don't think it sounds right. But anyways, going back to the first accuser. The first accuser accused him of rape. I don't know what to think about this either. Police say no investigation unless there's a complaint from the accuser. So, Manny, help me understand something.
Mm-hmm.
She filed a civil lawsuit against Antonio Brown. That's not enough? Or what's the difference between that and filing a complaint to the police department? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. Also, first of all, if the accuser hasn't filed a complaint and nothing has really been proven yet, why did Nike drop him? Do you ever wonder about that? It's kind of like these companies kind of, they're good with just like the initial strike of like the smoke, no fire, right? Like, she hasn't even filed a complaint yet. And I'm reading over here. Originally, she said it took place in Florida, but he lives in Los Angeles. So, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of holes in her stories.
Yeah.
Why would Nike drop him based off what she has accused him about so far?
The timing is weird on the whole thing. I never want to be the person who doesn't believe these kinds of stories, because I feel like it happens too many times where a woman is talked down or treated as if like they're lying or whatever, or being told like, well, what did you do for this to happen? I never want to be the kind of guy that takes it to that level. But the timing is odd for her allegation. I'm not so sure about the second allegation. This is actually the first time I'm hearing it. Thanks, ET. But in terms of the whole Nike thing, I think it's just what good is he to them now? You know what I mean? Like, he's just been bad story after bad story after bad story. It's nonstop with this guy. I think they just figured, this isn't going to go anywhere at this point. Like, I don't know. Is he even going to play this year? Did he play this past weekend? I didn't really watch that much football.
Yeah, he did. He did
play.
He actually Tom Brady and him connected for a touchdown. So
okay.
No, he's definitely going to play. Here's some more information. A woman, 28-year-old Brittany Taylor, filed a lawsuit against Antonio Brown on September 11th in Florida. She alleges that Brown sexually assaulted her 3 times in 2017 and 2018, and says that the third time it happened, Brown raped her.
Eesh.
They first got to know each other in college. Both were student athletes. She was a gymnast. And obviously, Antonio Brown turned out to play for the NFL, and he was well known on campus. They met in 2010 when they attended Bible study. I don't know why I find this funny. I can't picture Antonio Brown like attending Bible study.
Right.
3 years after they met, while Brown was establishing herself in the NFL, Brown contacted her on social media asking for a revealing photo. She sent a photo of her face, but refused to send something more revealing in the process, reminding Brown that they were just friends. Then they stopped communicating. It says she ends up becoming his trainer. Well, this gets pretty interesting.
Tell me more.
Let's see. She ends up becoming the trainer and opened a gymnastics training center in Memphis, fulfilling a dream. And Taylor becomes Brown's trainer. Also, she ends up becoming his trainer. Taylor agreed to the arrangement as part of the agreement. Let's see. 2017, the first alleged assault. According to Taylor, Brown portrayed himself as committed to his faith, and this shared connection formed the foundation of their bond. He used manipulation and false promises to lure her into his work. To me, honestly, it sounds like they dated, and he was a little more aggressive than she liked, and she probably took that as like assault. I don't know. That's what it's kind of sounding like.
He used God to get in her pants. I mean,
classic, man. That's right? The oldest trick in the book. That is the oldest.
Oh man, I don't even know, man. Antonio Brown is it's too much at this point. Every week there's something. And here's the thing: if he helps the Patriots win a Super Bowl, people in New England are gonna love him, and everyone else is gonna hate his guts. Continue to hate his guts. It's just gonna be a story week in and week out. As long as he doesn't let the story take over his play on the field, Bill Belichick isn't gonna give a shit, and neither is Tom Brady. And whatever. I don't know.
Bill Belichick basically made a deal with the devil. Like, we're going to get this awesome wide receiver. We know it's going to look bad, but we're going to get ours, and that's it. He'll be gone next year, and people forget about it.
Bill Belichick deal with the devil? Nah. Do you want me to go over the list of shit that he's done?
We could do that on another episode.
Okay.
For sure. I forgot I'm leading this episode, so I guess I could end this whenever I want. All right. Manny, you want to go through our, outros?
Sure.
As you usually do.
So as I said earlier, today, this is the Flagship Podcast of the Welcome to the Show Sports and Pop Culture Blog and Podcast Network. You can find us at WTTSpod.com. Follow us on our social media pages on Instagram at WT The Show. We're on Twitter. I believe is it the same? WT The Show? I'm not sure.
Yep.
And don't forget to check out episodes of the Replay Podcast, which is going to return next week with Superbad. So stay tuned for that. And that's all I got, CT.
Thanks, Manny. And thank you guys for listening. Peace.
Peace.